For those of us privileged enough to work at Rockefeller Center for NBC News, there are daily reminders of the history of the place, from this Today Show's studio to the one across the street at Saturday Night Live. But I can tell you, there is no bigger thrill for a journalist here than to share the screen with Tom Brokaw. For 50 years now, Tom has been guiding NBC News and the country through history. This morning, he takes a look back.
He was a charismatic.
In 50 years as an NBC News correspondent, I've reported on some of the most momentous events of our time.
The Soviet Union, as we have known it for most of the 20th century, is breaking up now.
Mikhail Gorbachev, who took power in Moscow in 1984 and recognized the country had to change to survive. Gorbachev campaigned like an American politician, promoting perestroika, a new economy, and glasnost, a new openness.
I would like to give you an opportunity.
He even gave me an exclusive primetime interview in 1987. I confronted him about a Cold War flashpoint.
There is no uglier symbol in the world of the division between East and West than the Berlin Wall. Why don't you use your considerable influence with the East Germans just to have them take it down?
As the interview continued, the tone changed.
We regard as a very important phase in our relations.
By late 1989, the Soviet Empire began to collapse in Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania. On November 9, 1989, the final piece, East Germany, the Berlin Wall. I was there reporting on unrest, not knowing the wall would come down. NBC News would have a worldwide exclusive.
Good evening, live from the Berlin Wall on the most historic night in this wall's history. The first time since the wall was erected in 1961, people will be able to move through freely.
People ask me, what are the big stories of your time? And I say, well, the biggest single story that I had to deal with was 9/11. It was on the air, was not knowing what was going to happen in the next nanosecond. At about 10:30 in the morning, when the second tower went down, intuitively, I looked into the camera and said,
the magnitude of this will go on for some time. This is not just a national tragedy. We are at war, in effect, here. This country has suffered a devastating attack.
As this tragedy of epic proportions played out in New York, Washington, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, I was drawn to the families, their grief, bewilderment, their loss. For me, it was the story of Mrs. Frances Swift.
Who are you looking for? My son, Thomas Swift.
She said, has anybody seen Tommy Swift? She was holding this sign. And I remember thinking, that's the emblematic mother. That's the mother of all of us. America has been attacked, and it has been changed. This is the first great test of the new century for this nation.
I will never forget Tom's voice on that morning of September 11th. You can see much more on Tom's career tonight in a 2-hour NBC special, Tom Brokaw at NBC News, the first 50 years, at 9/8 Central. Tom will be joined by Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey, David Letterman, and Jon Stewart, among others.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.